Open Debate. I'm Tamanna Inamdar, and today we're talking about apps. Now, nearly a month after the Indian government banned 59 apps, and coincidentally, all of them happen to be Chinese apps, there seems to be a second strike where 47 shadow apps are also being targeted as per sources quoted in news agencies and other such reports. Meanwhile, the Economic Times has also reported that there could be at least 250 more Chinese apps on the list. So now all of this is well and good. There have been many reasons for this app ban that have been discussed in detail. But what's interesting to see is that nearly a month has actually happened to the ecosystem. What happened to the TikTok star? What has happened to the Made in India alternatives? And has a real contender to take the place of TikTok? And to join me on this discussion is a very exciting panel of speakers. I'm pleased to welcome Sumit Ghosh, who's the founder of Chingari. I'm speaking today with Pragya Nagra, who's a TikTok star, of course. Pragya, great to have you on the show. Paras Thomas also joined us to talk about his journey post the app ban, and always pleased to talk with Rehan Khan. So, welcome to all of you. And let's begin with getting a sense of what your journey has been. I mean, I saw you tweet out that at one point you had 1 million views in 30 minutes. That must be quite a lot. What was it like for you?
Sure. I think that was a tweet long back. I mean, just to give a context on the numbers, I mean, in 1 month, we have grown to more than 25 million users. Daily, around 3 million users are coming actively on the platform creating content. It has been a amazing growth curve for the entire Chingari team, the Chingari app. And I feel, this has been a life-changing moment for us. Nothing less than that. This new ban that happened today again. Came as a surprise. We were observing that out of the 59 apps that were banned, some of them actually kind of cloaked themselves, relaunched into as new apps. And they were back in the app store, and I think that's what the government is trying to take down now with this with this new ban that they're doing.
No, absolutely, Sumit. It's been a shot in the arm for Indian apps, and it's all been very celebratory, and all of that. Everyone's very excited. But let's look at some hard truths that have emerged. One of them is that combined, and these are some of the reports that have been doing around, combined, the top 3 video apps or alternative to TikTok have now 13% of the downloads that TikTok had. And among them is one Chinese company which didn't make it to the banned list, and an American company as well. There are other reports which are saying that yes, apps like yourself and others have seen a huge bump up in downloads, but hanging on to your subscribers is not that easy. So take us through the kind of real picture which is now emerging. Do you find that people get on because you're made in India, or then once they're on for that reason, they're looking for much more?
Yeah. So, obviously, to get to the level of TikTok, TikTok had like 600 million downloads from India over a period of 4 years, 4.5 years. And they had this amazing machine learning, personalized recommendation engine, which took years to build and master. So obviously, all the other apps which are trying to, to do that now, it's not a 1 day or 1 month job. To build that tech, it will take time, and over time it will happen. So I'm not saying what I'm saying is we got a good head start. This event led to a lot of users trying Chingari and other apps like Chingari, and our cost to user acquisition was almost next to none. Almost zero because of that. But yeah, going ahead, keeping these users in the app, engaged in the app is a tough tech problem. And Chingari, it's a tech. I mean, it's a tech problem to solve. It's a big tech problem to solve, and like we are all set for that. And it's not going to be easy, for any of us. It's not just getting downloads and getting people to install your app. The mode here is to find the taste of hundreds of millions of users in short video. So so I'm sure there are two TikTokers in the panel here, and they will be able to tell you better that when you were on TikTok, the kind of the recommended videos that it was able to recommend you, because it had this data of huge amount of data of millions of Indians over time, and that's why it was able to do a good job at these recommendations. And to build that, I mean, obviously it will take time.
Yeah. And also to understand that there are many contenders for that TikTok pie. But you're right, Sumit, the reason I've got Pragya and Paras on the panel today is because I really want to get a first-hand view and not make this only a one-sided story. The unvarnished truth is important. What is the user experience? Pragya, let me begin with you. Okay, huge TikTok star. Where have you migrated? What's your new online home? And what
so as of now, all of us are just, I guess, even Paras would agree with me that we all are still, hoping for TikTok to be that. Because it's been a year since I've been on TikTok, and within a year, I amassed around 1 million plus followers. So maybe call it the user base they have, the kind of recommendations they give us, or, whatever is in the trend, those kind of videos show up. And that's how, if we make videos fun to trend, we start trending. That's how it works. But yeah, I am in support of Made in India as well. So I have tried out all the apps. I have tried out Chingari. There's apps called this Roposo was the one which actually gained a lot of fame after this TikTok got banned. And other apps like Triller, Chill5, and I don't know, there are a lot of Trell and even Drizzle. A lot of apps have come up. So I'm trying my level best to upload videos on them and create content. But our mindset has been set up in a way, and we have a lot of expectations from all these new apps.
What's the difference as a user? What's the difference
as a user? That's what I was about to talk about. Even when TikTok was there were apps like Likey and Vigo Video, which we made, which were Chinese as well. But we always, focused on TikTok much more than all these apps. That's because of the user interface of the app was really good. And we had that comfort level, and by using TikTok, our expectations have actually increased. We used to have update like almost every other week, and yeah, we got accustomed to the user interface and the kind of following we had. I think there's something called regional following as well. So we got used to it. I'm basically from South. I mean, a Tamil creator. So that's how my follower base increased on language and recommendations and trending videos. So I guess we all expecting the same kind of thing that we'll be getting on Made in India apps. Like actually, that's the key selling word for all these apps. And I guess Paras will also agree with me on that.
Yeah, I think Paras is nodding over there. Paras, the last time we spoke, it was just very, very nascent. Since then, what has happened with you? What's been your story?
So since then, I have become sufficiently richer, which I would like to point out. I think Made in India has been fantastic. We didn't see that coming. I think the first thing we thought about was that, TikTokers bechare garib ho jayenge. That did not happen. That whole cliche of like one door shuts and six more open was exactly what the case was. I think a lot of American companies reached out, Google reached out. But, to answer one of your other questions that you were asking, Pragya Singh, what is the big difference when you were uploading videos on TikTok vis-a-vis other platforms? TikTok was instant gratification. When you put up a video on TikTok, you reached about a few million views in maybe about a day or 2 days. The other thing that happened actually was the fact that we also got a bit of a reality check, because on TikTok, we were beginning to only deal in millions. I had about 3.5 million. That still hurts me to say about 3.5 million followers there. But the problem is, where did these 3.5 million people go? In fact, that's the one thing a lot of TikTokers have been talking about, saying
I'm not saying this just for you, but a lot of it was TikTok. The whole pattern was to make people feel really popular and amazing, and then sort of encourages them to create more content. How many of them were real?
Now, I don't know how many of them were real, because now here's what happened. This was a very often asked question by brands. Now, if you had X number of followers, if you had about, say, 3 million followers like I did, your natural assumption would be that a certain number of these followers would come to your other platforms. I got about 12,000 followers on Instagram from 3 million. Now, that's hardly an arithmetic. Most people complained about the same. There was also conversation today about fake followers, which was already in the news, and that was true. Because I don't know how true this is, and this is just speculation, but when you sign up on TikTok, the app itself makes an account for you, and then you sign up another. So actually, everyone has two different accounts, if I'm not wrong about it. But the biggest crunch we've seen is the fact that when we think about how many millions of people say that they loved us, my question is, I want to go on the street and say, where are these billions of people in real? Because I don't seem to be able to see them. But that's been a difficult base for us. On the bright side, when I want to say this, the big change since the last time we spoke, at that time when you asked me what are the Indian apps and how are they doing, we didn't have too many. There were a lot of bugs in these apps. They have, like Sumit also said, in the last 1 month, they have grown in a way that TikTok probably took years to do. Suddenly, the AI and all these apps is better. They are actually offering me much more money than TikTok did. This is deeply competitive, this market. I want to give you a rough estimate. There is a brand which called, actually two of them, who are offering somebody like me about 9 lakhs for 6 months. That is a whole CTC package for a lot of people who go to work.
Wow.
So there is, I like how you said, wow. I was like, I was trying to
all our viewers may not know, but they were in a different world. Paras and I were colleagues. Paras was bitten by the news bug before, he left for more interesting things, and a situation where people are, fighting to money.
No, I pretended to be a journalist for a very long time, and I realized that now this market is so competitive. So if you can imagine these short video platforms, a lot of people say, how are you earning sitting on your phone? People say, even we have phones, we don't earn money. But the reason I'm giving you these numbers is this is now a deeply competitive market. I personally think this is a change for the best. I also personally think this is actually huge commerce. The amount of money, even my own brand, Uske by Paris, I told you that for my own brand, we were probably seeing a dip in sales when TikTok went off for a week. But the moment we started uploading videos on a Ruposo, like Pragya was saying, or these other apps, I'm now part of the ZTV app, which is called UP, which is coming up. MX Player is coming up with Taka Tuck. There is actually, and these they want you in exclusive contracts. So if you're a creator in this market, you're actually making so much money. And the clever part is we're making so much money, but people just think that we're having fun, which actually is a great business model.
Okay. Sumit, I just want to get a quick response from you on the kind of feedback. We're giving you live feedback over here on the show. Quick response from you on what you're hearing. So is this the trick to lure in the big stars with loads of money? I know there've been contests, there've been, apps have been giving coins per view, and then you can cash them out on Paytm, etc. So it's basically luring them in.
Yes, so I think this is so there was a time during Ola and Uber, fight when you were incentivizing drivers, to spend more time in driving, and this is that was the cab economy, and now it is the creator economy. So we have to, the new entrants have to really incentivize the creators and also the users in some way to come in the app, get used to the experience, of these new apps. And then with time, the ML algorithm will take over and keep them hooked. But to get them into the app, to get the creators into the app, and to get the users into the app, obviously, you have to put some incentives. So all the apps are doing, including us. In fact, we launched a contest where we are giving 1 crore to the top creator of the nation. The contest starts on 17th of this month. So all of us are spending money in some way or the other to keep our creators, get our creators in the platform.
Okay, Rehan, I just want to get your sense on what we're saying. I mean, the assumption was made by many that a ban in Chinese apps will automatically benefit Make in India apps, and it did to some extent. But let's also look at what happened. A lot of these apps, the Chinese apps, found another way to come through. And present themselves to people, whether it was through proxy servers, etc. Then you have a lot more on the list which are still around and may have found favor. Do you think that the theory that users, and I'm not just talking about video apps like TikTok, but users across the board will move out of a product or dump a product because it's Chinese, do you think that theory in a way has fallen flat on its face?
Hi. I think it's very interesting listening to Pragya, Sumit, and Paras, because a month back when we had convened over here, Paras was there. It was all doom and gloom that, yeah, TikTok is gone. What are we going to do? And I think the big question there was, will the Indian apps live up to the expectations, right? Because the users have got hooked on this high quality content, which is powered by AI and these high quality creators. So it's actually wonderful to see a month later that people like Sumit and other people have been, they're getting there, right? As everybody has observed, Paras has observed. And I think VCs are backing this with big money. That's why Sumit can do 1 rupee and Paras can get 9 lakh rupee contracts and so on and so forth. Now, what is going to happen to the Chinese apps, right? Are they going to make, they've tried a cheap tactic, rebrand and try to get onto the store. So what they're doing is they're definitely trying to get back into this huge market, right? They don't want to give up on this market. And as we've been following the news, TikTok is in fact thinking of reincorporating in England and even selling off 60% of its shareholding to American VCs to shed the Chinese tag. Right, that is the extent that these apps are willing to go to not lose their large, ginormous market. So I think it's game on, right? I think the Indian apps continue to have a window to get to that quality level. I think Sumit must be extremely aware of that, and he's probably working 16, 18 hours to get his team up to speed before those guys come back in 3 months, right? They will find some way, they will lobby, they will do this, restructure X, Y, Z. So I think everybody realizes it's a window and it's not permanent, but it has given our apps a real opportunity to compete. See, the issue previously was two things, right? One is that TikTok had a huge start because they had that user base in China. And that was simply because of 4G expansion. And this is the point we made last time also when I came on. So their algorithms, their AI learned, right? We are about a 2-3 year market, which is behind that depth of penetration in India. So our AI is younger, right? Think of it as a 3-year, 4-year-old girl versus, a teenager, right? Now, quickly, that girl is growing up, right? She's learning very quickly everybody's habits. She's learning to speak and, she's sort of getting out there because that user base has suddenly arrived thanks to Geo. The pipe, this fat pipe has arrived and lots of 4G penetration. But I think they have a 3-month window to really get there.
Rehan, I just taking that sort of analogy forward about a child versus a grown-up in terms of where these apps are. My question is that before the 29th of June, when that ban took place, these apps were still very much in the market, competing with everyone, including TikTok. That decision to ban the Chinese apps came out of the blue. Why weren't these apps competitive in any case? You take out, the India-China clash from the equation and go back before that. The question we should honestly ask ourselves is, are we competitive enough?
Can I answer that?
We don't need this kind of protectionism. I can see Sumit smiling. Sumit,
Can I answer that?
That question. It's a tough one, but I think it's a fair one. I just want to hear what Rehan has to say about it, and then I promise I will come to you. Yes, Rehan.
Okay.
So what I think happened, if you look at ShareChat, right, and the history, so when ShareChat raised money, there's a lot of dollars that backed it, including Chinese funds like Shunwai, thinking, guys are going to sit and do in India what the social media apps did in China. However, those apps got hit by the onslaught of the Chinese apps, which had come with more bucks and, more importantly, this algorithm which had learned, right? This grown-up algorithm, let's call it that, which had come and it waylaid all these Indian apps. Now that the Indians are seeing that there is this opportunity because the government, for political reasons, national reasons, has sidelined those apps, I think money is rushing back to back this. Sumit, I think I read in the news you raised some money, right?
Yeah.
Is rushing back to back this. And suddenly there's this opportunity, right? The match is swung in our favor. So the whole team is sort of rallying around it. Earlier on, people thought, yaar, match mein chance hi nahi hai. These guys are going to run away with the trophy, right? So I think that is what has happened, if you ask me.
No, that is great. That is great. I'm all for, Indian apps coming to the fore. Sumit, it's a tough question, but I think it's one that deserves to be asked. What if this app ban had not come about?
Sure.
Were your
Sure.
peers in a position to take on players like TikTok? And it's not just TikTok. Frankly, the Indian market is dominated by players which are either Chinese or American. Why have,
Sure.
why has the Indian ecosystem been languishing?
Sure. I think Rehan made a perfect example about ShareChat, and they had been actually been able to raise a lot of capital. And I mean, we have been as the Chingari app. I mean, we have been in the market for like 2 years. I mean, we haven't we didn't raise any capital before that, before this phenomenal growth. But we were in the market, and I mean, we were like a bootstrapped entity trying to acquire users. And when TikTok came to India, they pumped in $500 million, and this was like Chinese capital. At the peak of their times, they were like spending $15 million a month everywhere, like splurging money on Google ads, Facebook ads. How do you expect an Indian entrepreneur to compete? Even in the people who had raised capital were not able to compete with this kind of capital, with this kind of Chinese money. So now with this ban, we are at least playing on a level playing field, and that's what I will call it. Government has leveled the playing field up. Now Indian entrepreneurs have like whoever has the moat, whoever is able to build the tech, whoever is able to raise money. I mean, we have a level playing field, and now we can, I mean, as Rehan said, a match में कुछ chances है जीतने के. So before this, obviously, I mean, Indian entrepreneurs we were not playing on a level playing field. So you cannot compete with $500 million whatever you build. I mean, you can't compete with that kind of capital. So I think that's
Rehan
my
says 3 months. Rehan says there's a small window. He's pretty convinced that these guys will be back in some form or fashion. They will get rid of their Chinese identity or dilute stake, etc., etc. So what is the timeline you have in your own mind, and what is your biggest competition right now in this market with TikTok out of the picture?
So it's exactly 3 months. So 3 months is like a race right now. Everybody's trying to acquire maximum number of users, get them the initial experience of their platforms. And I think the differential. So right now, obviously, the competition is with the other Indian platforms that are also trying to gain some get the market. I mean, having said that, I think we have a good mind share. We have a good foothold. We have grown organically, and now obviously we have raised funds, so we'll be doing some inorganic growth. And yeah, I mean, next 3 months will be really crucial for all the players in this space. And so consumer social is not just about just getting the users. It's also about retention. It's about engagement. So top quality, top camera quality product will be able to get top quality creators who will be able to produce top quality content, which will create top quality engagement and have top quality retention. So it's a complete understanding of how consumer social works. And I think the app which is able to deliver on this will eventually win. So
yeah, I want to come back to Pragya and Paras. Pragya, Paras was describing a situation where 6 doors have opened instead of the one shut, and he's being chased by so many apps. What has your experience been like? And do you think that if a TikTok comes back in some form or fashion, you'll go straight back, or now you will want to sort of exist in a lot of different apps and reach a wider audience?
See, like Paras had mentioned, like a door closes and 6 others open. So for me, I guess a lot more have opened. Not just, the current competitors are Reposo, Chingari, and this Rizzle app and Trell. So these are the ones the apps which are getting most of the followers. So, but there are other small apps as well which don't have that much of a follow base. And like you mentioned, this MX there is coming up with Takatak. And even Ghana has this music app has started up with another hotshot section for the short video platform. So there's a lot of competition, and I see majority of the top creators from TikTok going to one app, and then we follow the trend. So it's more of a trend, and yeah, like he mentioned, it has actually opened up a huge opportunity to make money, because instead of one app, and yeah, like he mentioned, we were not actually making that much compared to what we are making now. So like he's getting 9 lakhs for 6 months. I had 1 million plus followers. I'm getting around 4.5 lakhs for 6 months. So that's how it works. And yeah, we're getting a lot of money out of it. But majority of our concern is like if TikTok comes back, of course, like the 3 months gap that you're mentioning, that probably these apps will grow, and if the kind of growth that we are expecting, if we see these kind of apps, then of course we'll probably want to continue here. But yeah, TikTok has actually raised our expectations in a very big way, meaning, I mean, take it the user interface or the kind of
Pragya,
content that we share
your
with them.
advice, Pragya, your advice for makers of these apps. You have an opportunity now on this panel to speak directly to Sumit.
My only concern right now is like I am also getting a lot of money. I mean, these apps are paying the creators who had 1 million+ followers to join their apps, and I am actually a part of Singari. I am getting paid from Singari. So not just Singari, but other apps as well. Like instead of giving out money to the creators and wanting, I mean, the ones who are popular on TikTok or other apps to come and join their apps, they should work on the user interface. Because firstly, if you know, it's been a while since Chingari. A lot of people have been approaching me to be a part of Chingari, but I'm not. I'm choosing not to because the user. I mean, I don't want to comment anything negative, but the user interface is not up to the mark. So instead of getting creators on board, that is one part of selling the app, the KSP part, like you're saying, made in India, and that's a Chinese app which was banned. So the majority of the concerns should be on developing the app. Like they mentioned, like probably, if Chingari is still a kid compared to TikTok, which has grown up to be an adult now. So my main focus should be on the content creation and the improving the UI of the app, because that's how people will. Maybe like he mentioned, they were spending money on the advertisements on Instagram and Facebook.
Tough words to hear, but then there's honest
So there
feedback.
is,
You have to
yeah,
work
this is
on
a
it.
great
Like I
feedback.
mentioned, TikTok was actually spending probably $50 million, for the advertisement
A
part.
lot of
So
it, a lot of it is belief bankrolled by the Chinese government. That's what the general belief
Yeah,
is. So we don't really know. But Sumit, it's. I think it's big of you to listen to this feedback on live television. But your response.
yeah.
No, I am not mentioning it in negative. And my only concern is if they improve the user interface overall, then people will eventually, want to come and join the app, even without them having to pay the creators. That's what I meant.
Great feedback,
Sure.
Pragya. Sumit, you
Feedback
want to
taken.
respond to
Thanks, Prat. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, no offense intended.
No, definitely that.
I
Yes.
think-
Any response you want to give?
I think Tamanna, there's an interesting parallel here to be drawn between what has happened with Flipkart and Amazon and what happened with Ola and Uber, right? So you have two very interesting use cases here. You had a company in Flipkart which started way before Amazon, but Amazon just has this excellent product, right? Both in terms of supply chain, assortment, UI, all kinds of things. So when they entered the market, they didn't really flood the market with cash, but they did very well, right? And I think we all continue to have this cash strategy, right? But we saw that, and to Pragya's point, I think we saw investments made in product which are dividends, these kind of short-term grab people investments, right? And then on the other side, you had a use case of Ola versus Uber. And Ola, though they struggled a lot with quality initially, they fixed their quality and they walked away with the market, right? So they became 70% of the market, with Uber down to 30% of the market. So I think we have some very good use cases here. And I think to your point earlier, yes, while ShareChat and all these apps did get hit by this very adult trained UI, I think it does beg the question that could we have done better and created a strong product.
Absolutely. I'll tell you where I'm coming from. We must, in the industry, in all sectors, and not just in this space, compete to be the best and not fall back on protectionism. Of course, there are circumstances which beget different kind of responses, but generally that should be the focus, especially if we want to really compete on a global stage. I'll end it there, but I want to thank all of you for joining and speaking so openly today. Special thanks to you, Sumit, for coming in on the show, listening to all of that feedback and keeping that flag flying.
Sure. Thank you, Tamanna, for having me.
Thanks, Pragya.
Thank you.
Thank you.